Hello and welcome to Who Are You? This is the Babylon 5 Watchcast hosted by two former strangers, now friends, who have gotten to know each other while rewatching a favorite show from their childhood, Babylon 5. I'm Xhafer.
And I'm Laura.
And Laura, today we're going to talk some alignments.
Yeah. We got
Do
to
we have a
dig deep
drop for
though.
alignments?
I don't think we have a drop for alignments.
We've only done it a couple of times, but I guess if we've got three, this one and then two more on the docket, maybe it's time. Maybe it gets a drop now.
Not this time.
Yeah, we need
Right
somebody to
now.
help us
It
with
didn't
that.
earlier, but it did when I said now.
Yeah. I feel like it's something D&D related, right? We'll
Yeah,
have to workshop that.
something from the D&D movie. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Much like we got to figure out these characters' alignments.
Yeah, we had to dig a little deep this time.
We did have to dig. So we've done the assistants, we've done the ambassadors, we've done the command staff. This time we're doing They Gone. This is characters who no longer appear in Babylon 5
Yeah.
before we did these segments. I guess Marcus was still a character and Naroon was probably still a character.
Yeah,
He
he
was still
was.
around but we didn't get to
Talia,
them in
maybe not.
time. Talia
Yeah.
was definitely not. No, she was gone by the time we started. This was a
Mhm.
season 4 bit for us. So,
Okay. Yes.
yeah. So we've got Talia, Marcus, and Naroon are the
Yeah.
three characters we're going to discuss today. And it's kind of a bonus because Talia counts as two.
Yeah, she really does. She had
Yeah.
a split personality.
So we can start there with Talia original flavor, vanilla Talia, maybe pre expansion pack. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
So
How do you feel?
I feel like she's true neutral.
I said the same thing.
Fantastic. I was
Yeah.
ready to get on a hill and start dying on it, but
No, no,
eh,
no.
not
Do
required.
tell me your reasons, and I'll tell you if I had any others.
Well, true neutral characters are usually pretty self-involved. I don't
Okay.
particularly feel she's self-involved, but she also is not particularly motivated by anything, I feel. She's a very go with
Yeah.
the flow kind of person. She's like, "Okay, oh, this is happening to me this week," a lot of the time. It feels like, "Oh,
Yeah.
someone needs something, that's my job. I do things when people need me." And so she doesn't do anything for good or evil. She
Sure.
doesn't I mean, she cares about Psycor law, but she
Yes,
doesn't
she
really
has
care,
principles there. Sure.
but she breaks them.
Yes, but they're not totally inflexible principles, which is why I leaned toward neutral.
Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like true neutral is a good spot for her.
Mhm.
But then
Yeah,
we've
I do
got
too.
Talia post expansion pack, Talia Burning Crusade edition, evil Talia, flipped Talia.
Goatee Talia.
Yeah,
Mirror Universe Talia.
exactly. She grows a goatee. So I feel like this Talia is evil.
Yes.
At the
Yes.
very least, she's nasty.
I
She's
think
fucking rude as hell.
yeah, she's evil and, she's been totally overwritten by the Psychor with their rules, I would assume.
Hmm.
We only see her for the end of an episode, but I think that means she's lawful evil because she's got a set of rules and telepathically, like psychologically, she cannot break them, I would think.
Yes. Yes. Lawful evil, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Look at
Same
that.
page. I bet you this next one we're going to be on the same page for too, because this is probably the most obvious example of this character alignment in the entire show, I feel. And it's
Yeah.
Marcus and it's
Mhm.
chaotic good.
Yes.
It has to be chaotic good. It could not be anything else.
Yeah, yeah, he's an impulsive guy, but he's the goodest guy.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
does he does all of the right things for or he does things for always the right reasons, but he does not always do the right things.
Yes, very much so. Especially when we leave the battle and run off to the station to save the woman we love.
Yep.
Yeah. I think chaotic good probably comes with a shorter lifespan, yes?
I hope not. I consider myself chaotic good personally, but there is a bit of there's a bit of credence to the bravado that being chaotic good lends itself to that can definitely come with a reduced lifespan.
Yes, maybe try to temper that just a little bit sometimes.
Hey, I feel like I've had my wild years.
Yeah, yeah.
I've done my crazy impulsive shit. I've got that all out of my system. I got stories though.
Well, try not to, have to go out in a blaze of glory to save the woman you love, because
Yeah, that
that might
sounds
do it for you.
that'd be a shit show. I don't want to be in that situation for a number of reasons.
Right. I don't want you to be in that situation for my own selfish reasons.
I don't, I don't want to be in that situation for the reasons that get me to be in that situation, and then I don't want to be in that situation because I'm in that situation. It's
Yeah,
bad all around.
indeed. Okay, so Marcus does not have split personalities, so we've gotta
No.
move on. Who is our next one? Nehruun?
Naroon, elite Naroon.
Good question. Hmm.
I feel like he probably starts lawful good and questions that and moves to more of a neutral good. But it depends a lot on if you consider him loyal to the laws of the Minbari people or if you consider him loyal to the laws of the warrior caste.
Mm, yeah, yeah,
He kind of changes which set of rules he follows.
yeah. I feel like he's pretty lawful neutral to me.
Yeah?
Like, he has a set of principles, but for instance, I don't know, especially at the beginning when we meet him, I don't think he has any particular fondness for humans, right?
No. Outwardly, no.
So they're outside of his principles. They're
Yeah. For
something
Sinclair,
else.
because he tells Sinclair he talks like Valen, which was just
Oh, right.
back in season 1. So good.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't think he feels that way about all humans.
No.
And I feel like he's the sort that if something was happening and it was outside of his Minbari sphere, he would just be like, "Oh, isn't that sad?
Yeah.
Isn't that bad? Oh well."
I agree. I think he's lawful neutral until the last, like, 24, 48 hours, depending on the time frame of his life
Yes.
there, where he takes
Yes,
a
that's a
turn
good
for
point.
lawful good.
Yeah, definitely, because he does throw himself into the fire
Yeah.
to save Delenn. So he has that last minute turn.
Mhm.
He does the Darth Vader tossing the Emperor over the edge,
Only the
redeeming
Emperor
his
is
earlier
his boss
years,
who
yeah.
lives, and
Yeah, yeah. I agree. He's mostly lawful neutral until he takes a turn. So,
Mhm.
at least he made a good turn. Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was an easy one, I think, compared to some of our other alignments. I feel like we haven't always lined up on that.
Yes, and we probably also picked too many characters to do in one go. I like this 3 a lot more than our 5s.
Yeah, yeah. This is a little bit easier. You can
Yeah,
think about it a little better.
a little less prep, which I
Mhm.
appreciate always.
Indeed. Hey, did you prep for this episode?
I sure did. Always do.
What did we watch?
We watched season 5, episode 3's The Paragon of Animals.
Mm. I
Uh,
had to Google that.
when he started doing the bit, like when I heard the episode of the name, I'm like, that's vaguely familiar. If the episode reminds me, it reminds me. And I had forgotten that he like spends 2 minutes doing Hamlet in this fucking episode. Byron does, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's Hamlet. Cool.
That's so Byron.
Let's go.
I hope that's a bit we can bring back.
Oh, there's gonna be a lot of that. So Byron's, don't you worry. We open on a rowdy council meeting.
Yeah, it's a little hot in here.
Man, this Drazi, you cannot legislate morality.
Mm.
Man, I've never wished something not to be true, but also needed something to be shouted for the people in the back even louder more in my life. And I guess that's the point.
Yeah, I really hate this phrase, and, I wish that I hadn't heard it so much in these last few years.
Right. You shouldn't legislate morality.
Yeah, and who would have thought that, I would have already heard it from this show back in the '90s, but I hadn't realized it until I had to hear it again, and it hit too hard and it hurt.
This is all over the Interstellar Alliance's Declaration of Principles, which is the last thing they want everyone to sign on.
Yeah, and we heard about Jakar was going to write this, didn't we, in an
Yes.
earlier episode?
The League worlds feel it's beneath them since they haven't enslaved or genocided anyone, as the entire League stops talking, stares at Londo, and then walks out. They do that Klingon dishonor thing where they put their hands on their chest and turn around and leave.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the whole
"You're
crew is
dead to
very well
us."
organized.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, they poke a little fun at Jakar as well in the
Mhm.
script and at themselves when they talk about the sensitivity of writers to
Yeah, there's while he's writing after everyone leaves and after the theme and all that stuff. I don't know if you caught this. When
Uh-huh.
Jakar says my muse is speaking to me, the
Yeah, I
written by
did.
JMS comes up on the screen at that very moment.
Oh, I didn't catch that, but that is very good. Yeah, he's a great muse, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah, so this meeting doesn't resolve in any satisfactory way.
no.
Garibaldi's creeping in a corner, watching
Mhm.
everybody, and he goes to talk with Sheridan afterwards and
Yep.
says, "Look, we don't need to worry about these principles and morals and stuff. We just need to show power."
Yeah. Look, I went, at homeschool, Meemaw taught me the old turn off the body cam and wear your steel toes. And that's what we really need here.
Yeah, it's the first rule of homeschool, right?
Yeah.
Homeschool security.
Turn off the body cam.
Yeah, there's never any problem with just
Uh,
taking this approach, is there?
no, no. Historically
Totally fine.
speaking, foolproof.
Mhm. Yeah. At this point, I actually wrote down in my notes, the episode, what was the episode? Deconstruction of Falling Stars, where we had
Hmm.
the future stuff and, the people had complicated feelings about Sheridan's decisions in this time in particular. And I wrote the words, maybe Garibaldi is the problem.
uh, I've got fuck Garibaldi for all the this little empire of your shit you aren't helping.
And he had criticisms of this before.
Yeah,
It's like he's so consumed by his guilt over what Bester did, amping up his paranoia, that
that it's
he's
amped
just
up his
like
paranoia.
and that he's just like writing so hard for this and for Sheridan to like prove I'm not a bad guy, really, Sheridan. Please, please, please forgive me. Please, please, please be my friend.
Yeah,
Let me let me help you build an empire here, even though that was the very thing he criticized.
yeah.
It's weird. I don't know. I don't like Garibaldi.
I don't either. We cut over to an alien world being bombed to shit when a ranger shows up to bring back word to B5.
Yeah.
We don't know these aliens.
We
Well,
don't know these aliens. We don't know their bunker. We don't know what they've
yeah.
got.
We
We've
see
never
like
seen
the
this loaf.
triangle ships, which are always raiders. Like all
Mhm.
raiders buy their ships from the same company or something.
Yeah. Like we raided the same place
Right?
and got new ships
It's the
together. Yeah.
shipyards with like the shittiest security, and it's just some billionaire who's just like constantly making ships, and then they just get robbed all the time. And they're
Yeah.
just like, well, we'll just make more. We'll turn a profit eventually. But they
Uh-huh.
just keep getting robbed because their security shit and they refuse to
We'll
do
make it
anything
up on
about it.
volume. Yeah.
After theme, our main alliance diplomats work out a plan for some of the League worlds to help each other out. I have a
Okay.
I have to ask. Are you about to ask me the same thing?
I think we're about to ask
Yeah.
the same question.
You wanna
I'll
do it
let
at the
you
same
do it.
time? What vegetables do the Pakmara eat?
Well, yeah, what agricultural facility is this that I is what I wrote down. Is it
Yeah.
a body farm? We have heard that they are carrion eaters.
Exclusively. Every time we've heard about it, it's like they just eat dead bodies. Like,
Yeah.
that is how it's always presented, which is not how carrion eaters, at least in our world, work. They tend to just be
Mhm.
scavengers who will eat anything and everything. So you could give Pakmara like normal food and they'd be fine. They
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
prefer dead bodies, I think.
Yeah.
But that's like not what we've heard. Like
Yeah.
Franklin went on a whole thing about Pakmara eating the wrong stuff and getting sick at one point in MedLab.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
do you think it's those pitcher plants that smell like dead bodies? That's what
Oh,
they're
yeah, it's
growing,
like the
maybe?
rotting
Yeah.
leaf flower thing that blooms, like, once every 5 years or something.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense for them to have vegetables and other stuff that they can eat besides dead bodies. I imagine it'd be very tough as a society to
Yeah,
do the thing. I say knowing
yeah.
that we consume a ton of meat as a society, but also, like, if we only ate meat as a species, like, we would not have society.
Your growth would be extremely limited, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't raise enough of the thing you need to grow your civilization and have more babies and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, "Okay." But that aside as well, like, would the Abai even want whatever the Pakmara have to give? Like
Right.
like, okay, even if it is vegetables, do we even want
How
that?
gross is it? How gross is it? Dear listener, please tell us. How gross is it?
Yeah. I love it when we ask these questions and then someone answers them in the Discord on a Wednesday morning. That
Yeah.
makes me feel so happy.
Well,
I
I
love you
mean,
guys.
this episode, to just drop any pretense or kayfabe, is coming out 21 days after we record it. So
Yes.
I will have completely forgotten.
But that's the best when I open it up and I'm like, "Oh, oh, they're answering something. Oh, what did we
Yeah.
ask?" Yeah, it's
Ben
great.
does this to me all the time. He'll text me and be all like, "Hey, you mentioned this on the pod," or he's, "Oh, this thing," or like he'll just send me the answer to a question as he's listening to the podcast. Like I know what he's talking about, and I mean,
Mhm.
I
Well,
podcast
you
with
were
him.
just
He
talking to
knows
him,
how
Jafar.
it goes. Exactly. I was just talking to him. He was not just talking to me.
Yeah.
You know how early we record this compared to release. You know how my brain works. You know I have no idea what you're talking about.
That's the fun part.
I I'm sure he enjoys it because he hasn't stopped.
Mhm. Indeed. Yeah, so while they're arguing about, like, sending rotten Pakbara vegetables
Yeah.
to the Abai,
Did you
Jakar
catch the other thing here?
oh, no, what's the other thing?
Jakar's got, like, glow in the dark side eyeshadow on.
I did not see that, but you know I'm going back to check.
It is super distracting, like, the sides of his face are significantly more yellow and caked on than they normally are.
Is
It
that how he gets himself in his dramatic writer persona?
it must be.
He
It was
adds some
super
extra
distracting to
eyeshadow.
me.
You know what that reminds me of? I feel like someone has gone really wild with the highlighter on faces and cheeks on the Great British Baking Show this season. If you're watching, look at it. Look for the highlighter. You won't unsee it.
I need to watch. I haven't watched anything past, like, the 3rd or 4th season.
The new host who is with Noel Allison, she is a delight. You're
Okay.
gonna love her. Anyway, back to Jakar.
Yeah.
So Jakar's trying to rewrite these principles and make them more palatable to everyone,
Mhm.
right? And Garibaldi proposes that, well, maybe we just need to use the telepaths and the
Yeah.
rangers to get intelligence. And then, we don't have to worry about principles because we'll have the biggest guns, right?
Mhm.
Oh, and he claims with his own human mouth to dislike guns. This man who has his grandma's weapon from when she was a Boston police officer many years ago tried to keep his company PPG.
Mhm.
Dislikes guns. Okay.
Okay. So he gets an apprehensive agreement from Sheridan with the understanding that they can refuse. And Londo and Jakar are just joking buddies now.
Yeah. He said sorry in
Yeah,
the last episode, Jafar.
yep, all is forgiven.
Yeah.
Michael heads down to down below and gets a no faster than he can think about how fast that no was.
Okay, so Byron, I know that the universe doesn't like Byron,
This
right?
is
And I'm talking about our universe.
Yeah, like, this is a famously bad subplot and hated character.
Uh-huh.
I loved this moment. Byron
Uh-huh.
completely owned it. The actor, I thought, did really great, and this is a probably the high watermark. Like, this scene in particular is probably the high watermark of Byron.
Yeah, he just, like, really smashes his nuts and does it's so dramatic,
Yeah,
and I was like, "And he's not wrong.
yeah,
He's not wrong." So, I'm like, "Oh, man." I know that the character doesn't seem to go well with people for the rest of the season, but I was
mhm.
like, "It's not a bad moment. He's
No.
doing a good job."
No, this is the moment Byron endears himself to you, so that way when everything is absolute shit later and you saw the potential, it makes it even worse. Because let's
Ugh,
be honest, a bad character is a bad character. A bad
uh-huh.
character who had excellent moments and you knew could have been better is the worst character.
Yeah, the actor seemed to be doing quite well here,
Yeah.
and he's really got Garibaldi figured out, Byron does.
I don't even remember how bad it gets, to be perfectly honest. Because I mean, I did my last rewatch in 2020, so
Mhm,
when we started this thing, it was pertinent, but been a bit now.
mhm.
I don't remember season 5,
Yeah,
so not
here
as
we go.
fresh in the memory. Our ranger from the cold open makes it to med lab with only a few
Bad
hours
shape,
left
though.
to live.
Yeah.
They ask Lyta to find out who attacked him before he dies, and Lyta talks with our ranger telepathically before he passes on.
This is some good stuff
Yep.
that if you didn't drop in for book club or if you haven't read those books, we've had a little bit of this and other moments in this episode
Mhm.
illustrated for us in the Psychor books that we've read so far. That, it's always like a doorway
Mhm.
and the person can talk to the telepath who's there at the end. Like,
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, it's very good. So now we know about our people who were attacked. The Infili are oppressed. Enfili. It's supposed to sound like infant, right?
Oh, I guess it is. I
They're a
because
little
I watch
baby
with
race.
subtitles, it is spelled Enfili,
Yeah.
and, that's pretty close
Yeah, they're a little baby
phonetically.
agricultural race. They don't know what's going on. They're just getting raided.
Yeah, they're at the edge of drowsy space.
Oh, hey, what about that at the top of the episode about being good neighbors? Huh.
Mhm. Huh.
And so they're like, what are we going to do here? And Delenn is like, fuck it.
Yeah, we
Miss
gotta
No
go.
Survivors is like, send the whole fucking fleet.
Yeah. As many white stars as possible.
Yep.
Let's protect them.
The White Stars roll out. Sheridan informs the Drazi ambassador, who just happens to walk past Byron.
Yeah, and not suspiciously at all. He's definitely not rushing anywhere.
Nope. Garibaldi goes to Lita, who says he heard about her bad day and is checking in on her, but also he has a job for her.
He just puts his foot right in there, just crams it right up in the old kisser.
Which is it, Michael? It can't be both. You don't go to someone who's had a super shitty day at work and then ask them to do more work. You don't go
Yeah,
to someone empathetically. You don't go to someone under that guise of, "Hey, I heard you had a really shitty work day, and I'm really sorry for you, but can you put in another 6 hours right now?"
yeah.
Like, no. That is you can't do both.
And it doesn't take that much of a feat of imagination to think that being inside a dying person's mind might be hella weird and difficult.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a huge leap for us, even, in a universe where telepathy doesn't exist. Like, all you have to have is empathy for another person, which is
Yep.
something that we are most of us all capable of. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, she calls him out, though. I like that. Good for
Yep.
her. Oh, and she tells us another little book tidbit here.
Yeah, she talks about Bester volunteering for deathbed duty,
Too
and
many
in the books, like, didn't he do, like, a dozen of these? He, like, broke the Psycor record in the books,
by a
right?
lot. Yeah.
Yeah,
And the rumor is that that killed his soul. Like a piece of maybe a piece of your soul goes with the person every time, and he
yeah,
just kept going into deathbed scans until there was no soul left.
yeah. I mean, we do get a bit about how it did change him in the books, you know?
Mhm,
But
mhm.
also he's a weird little shitbag from the very beginning, so
Yeah, and didn't he go in because he kinda had some, like, incel vibes going on?
yeah, there's a whole
Like,
bunch of stuff.
there was a bunch of stuff with the wife that he
Yeah,
had. Yeah. It's all weird and bad.
yeah.
Anyway.
Yep. Yeah, Lita's like, "Cool, fuck off." And, yeah, it's so fucking frustrating. Like, he is being an asshole, she is being completely reasonable. He should not be
Mhm.
asking her to do this any day, let alone today.
Yeah. Mhm.
But he eventually sells her by purporting the ideals of the Alliance as a force to do good in the universe,
Mhm.
which is something that he clearly doesn't believe in
Yeah.
from earlier in this episode, and she would know that because he's broadcasting that shit, I'm sure, per our conversation earlier. But she agrees to it anyways, which I guess is kind of the fucking point with Lita and the point of her story arc that starts in this episode.
Yeah. I didn't like his insistence here that the telepaths would be a great tool.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's really shitty to her,
mhm.
and he has been. Everyone has been.
Yeah.
There is no justice for Lita. Like, she just gets used and abused constantly. It's fucking terrible.
And even those who haven't been, using her or rude to her are sort of a very formal, cold professional to her
Mhm.
rather than friendly. We saw Zach try to be friendly a little bit, but it just didn't work out. And, also she might not have been interested in Zach that way. We don't really know.
Yeah.
But other than that, most of our main cast treats her just very professionally rather than as a colleague, an equal.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, Sheridan can't sleep.
Mm,
And I noticed that this bed is not reclining. The bed that they were in the last episode was definitely a Minbari bed.
yeah.
And I think they're back in John's quarters because this looks a lot more human.
Yeah. Yes, 100% believe that to be the case.
He gets up and goes to the couch, and someone drops off a late night scroll. Don't you hate it when you get a late scroll delivery?
Ugh, it's the
1
worst.
AM? Yeah,
Don't
it's
fucking text
terrible.
me that. Actually, you know what? Like, full disclosure, ever since I've been in leadership roles for most of my career,
Uh-huh.
and especially when I was, managing a 24/7 help desk for a while,
Yeah,
I would
mhm.
get all kinds of weird texts and calls and stuff when somebody else was supposed to get them or whatever was going on. My phone is do not disturb all the time.
Yeah.
I will look at messages when I want to look at messages.
Yes.
I will look
Mhm.
at messages when I have time to answer messages, and I'm prompt.
Mhm, mhm.
But I refuse to be a slave to my phone like that. And if you send me a late night text, I will see it in the morning.
That's the way I have always been about text messages,
Yeah,
mostly because even if it goes bzz, bzz, I'm not gonna hear it in the middle of the night.
yeah. Mine won't
I'm
even,
out like a light.
not a peep. Um,
Yep.
I have a, if you are someone who, if you were calling me in the middle of the night, I tr- like, I have a list of people where it's all like, if this person is calling me in the middle of the night, something
Mhm.
terrible has happened, I put them on do not disturb bypass.
Yeah,
Like, the people
a
that
good
I
policy.
trust to not bug me with something stupid in the middle of the night. It's a decently long list. And people move on to it and people move off of it.
Yeah.
But you do not. There is no late night scrolling me. That shit is sitting on my doorstep until 8 a.m. 100% guaranteed.
Mhm. But, Sheridan's up anyway,
Yeah.
so he might as well pop the scroll, have a read, and
Yeah.
Delen's now up because, Sheridan is up, so
Yeah.
they read it together,
Mhm.
and, we get a nice voiceover
Yeah.
from themselves and Jakar as we see shots of the Enfili, the
White
White
stars.
Stars,
Yeah.
and Franklin writing a letter to the Rangers family, I
Yeah.
think, about his death. It is a really poignant little scene.
Yeah,
I
it's
like
really
the way
good.
it's put together.
Earlier in the episode, Jakar had made reference to at least a dozen principles.
Uh-huh.
They are now simplified. We must be kind to one another, for we are all one.
Not the one.
Lyta meets with Byron, who's an abusive piece of shit,
Yeah.
trying to make the point that she should not be abused like this. Bad way to go about it, dude.
Trying to make the point that she should not be abused like this by abusing like this.
Exactly. It is terrible.
After that first scene, this scene, I'm just like, ew,
Yeah,
no,
this is
no,
some
no,
real,
no.
like, if we didn't, as the audience, have firsthand knowledge of how terrible she has been treated, this is
Mhm.
textbook gaslighting.
Yeah. I was like, I get that he's like trying to make a point, but
Yeah.
there's something way too charismatic about teaching her a lesson, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
This has big
No.
18-year-old dating a 30-year-old vibes. And I mean that in the least
Yes.
respectful, most fuck you way possible, to be
Yeah.
absolutely clear.
Mhm. Yeah, and, all the way down to, like, the quoting classic literature that
Mhm.
maybe she hasn't read at her.
Yeah. Yeah, he gets all Hamlet-y
Oh, Hamlet, 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 Hamlet.
and asks if Lyta wants this, because he'll do it, not to help Michael, but for her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Also a thing I don't like because it's creating a sense of obligation to him,
Yeah. It's super fucked power dynamics. And we've already dropped from our high water mark.
and it's gone.
Yeah.
And he happens to have some classified information, if you will,
Yeah.
that he throws out there as a bone.
Yep. White stars are heading for a trap. Lita passes this along, and Sheridan acts quickly. The White
Mhm.
Stars will go to Enfili immediately and defend it from the Raiders and not wait for the Drazi. And we see the White Stars roll in, take out the Mooks, and then set up a trap for the Drazi that they know are coming.
Yeah.
And then we get the political theater side of this, with the Drazi ambassador knowing full well that if he didn't cave here, thousands of Drazi are going to die.
Yeah. And it's going to be his fault.
Yeah, that is
He
a
like
gambit.
runs from this room.
Yeah, and does not come back.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, not in the same way that Byron is providing a teachable moment. Sheridan provides a teachable moment with everyone else present.
Mhm.
He's invited the whole council here to witness the Drazi ambassadors dressing down. And he's like, see, this is why we need to all sign the scroll, everybody. Everybody sign the scroll.
Yeah, and they do. They all become pen pals. Sheridan really leans in here. The Drazi admit their crimes and promise to stop, and everyone signs up. And Sheridan is really taking away the wrong lessons immediately, because the first thing he says is Garibaldi is right and not
Mm,
trust the telepaths.
yeah. He says Garibaldi is right. And I'm like, is he though?
Mm,
Is he?
mm. This is like that article I read earlier today, where Bob Iger said the problem with the Marvels was that there wasn't enough studio meddling.
Is
Is it?
it though?
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, but Sheridan does like acknowledge that he is standing on a slippery slope,
Yeah.
which, I mean, it's good that you know that,
Yeah, it's better to
I
be
guess.
completely unaware and obtuse.
But yeah, he doesn't seem to be inclined to do a whole lot about that right now.
No, no, trust Garibaldi. That's the lesson.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know.
Jakar comes in and grabs all the scrolls because he has more revisions.
Yeah. That's the writer's curse, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you get something that you're like, "This is perfect," and then you show it to people, and you're like, "Oh, god damn it. I could've I could've said the other thing. I
Yep.
could've what if I had thought of this to say?" It's the classic problem I have where I go get in the shower after this podcast and go, "God damn it, there's a joke I could have made."
Ah, so close. Ugh.
Nuts.
Lyta goes to Byron to hear more of the sales pitch to credits.
Mm, I don't want you to do that, Lita.
Yep.
Don't do that.
Not a fan.
Nothing good is coming of this, right?
No.
Hooray.
Well, that's the episode.
That's the episode. How did you feel about it, Jafar?
Honestly, I liked this one.
Mhm.
I don't know
Okay.
if it's just like really holding the Byron high point high, knowing
Mhm.
how bad it got in this episode, let alone how bad it's going to get.
Yeah.
But I really liked that. I really liked Lyta standing up for herself. I really liked Garibaldi getting what for.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
I always enjoy that.
the Drazi, I forget if they're shitbags for the rest of the show or not. I don't remember.
They've always been kind of neutral. They've been
Yeah.
just sort of a little bit of a butt of a joke, in purple and green.
Their name is very similar to the Drock, and I can't remember if stuff happens with the Drock or stuff happens with the Drazi. Maybe
Okay.
it's both. My brain's just confusing it all because it's a blender at this
Mhm.
point, but yeah, so that's all good. We see a lot of human mistakes from Sheridan in this episode, which is
Yes, we
good
do.
because he's not prepared for the role that he's taken,
Yeah.
and that's important. That's an important part of the story that they're trying to tell. So it's good to see that they're sticking to that rather than just making him the messiah he purported himself to be previously.
Mhm.
So yeah, overall, I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I do feel it's a little above average. I did wonder if we give a as many averages as would actually be average, but yeah,
I
no.
don't have a spreadsheet for that.
We should have made one.
I have,
But now we're 5 seasons deep, man.
yeah, yeah, I know. It's like part of me wants to put a little thing in the first episode and go, "Hey, listener, if you're going to listen to all these, could you do me a favor and just write down the ratings for each one and just send it?
Mhm. Just make me a spreadsheet while you're going through.
Please. I'd appreciate it."
Yeah.
I feel like our average is probably 3.5, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, we've had a little grade inflation in there.
Yeah, so that's fine.
Yeah. No, I feel good about this one too. I really kinda did like watching Garibaldi get smashed in the nuts a few times.
It's
I
gratifying.
don't like his suits, man. I don't like his face. He's got a real smug thing about his face this season. Don't like it. And, yeah, I think that the Jakar writing is also top notch.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that. Very beautiful, very aspirational. We'll see if this alliance can aspire that high.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's that.
Well, what do we have next time?
We've got season 4, episode 4, A View from the Gallery.
Mm.
An alien attack on Babylon 5 is viewed from the perspective of two lowly maintenance workers.
Hell yeah.
It's our Lower Decks episode.
I love it.
And also, Ben's joining us next week.
Oh, that'll be a hoot.
Yeah.
I love a guest, especially on a really good episode like this.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I know
Yeah.
this is one of his favorite
I'm ready.
episodes. I think he called dibs on this one like back in season 3. So,
Yeah. I remember you telling me that now. Yeah, we love lower decks. We love to see what things would be like from where we would actually be if we were on Babylon 5.
right?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to do it next week. But before we do, we of course have to say thank you, Jeremy Siegel, for our lovely theme music. We appreciate everything you do for us. You can find more of Jeremy's work at jeremysiegel42.bandcamp.com or on your favorite streaming services as Nuclear Jaguar.
And thank you to Angry Duck Time Machine on Instagram for our podcast artwork.
Thank you, Aaron, for editing our podcast and taking our inane ramblings and making them listenable. Really appreciate you.
It's never an easy job, I'm sure.
No.
And thank you to you, the listener, for being here for our ramblings.
Mm-hmm.
We really appreciate you. If you want to join the conversation, Discord, we have a Discord that you can join, or you can email us at whoareyoub5@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get a little engagement on our posts. We'd love to see you there.
Oh, and on Blue Sky. We're on Blue Sky.
Oh, I always forget that one because it's so new.
It is. It's so new. It's nice. There's the feed doesn't update every 20 seconds because there's just not a lot happening.
Yeah,
I
it's not
like it
quite
that way.
taken off yet. But yeah, it's not full of all the weirdos of X. So
Yeah.
Xter.
All right. Well, we'll see you next week, Internet.
Bye.